Okay, so in the last session, we have discussed about basic concepts of Python, and also we have talked about how to install the softwares required for the Python for the programming. And now in this lecture, we are going to start with actual programming, how we can write a simple Python codes and how to execute those codes. In the last session, we have discussed about how the Python can be downloaded, how to install that, how to install VS Code IDE, how to execute simple code in VS Code as well as in Python ideally. This time we are going to discuss about Python variables, data types, and some data structures like numeric data type and string data type. So I'll share with my screen. Yeah, it must be visible. So in the last session, we have discussed about the Python is interpreted programming language. It is not the compiled programming language. In case of compiled programming language, the entire source code is read at once and then it is translated to machine code in one go, and after that it is executed. In case of interpreted programming languages, every single line from that code will be read and that will be executed, and it forms a loop like structure as you can see here. The firstly it will read the instruction, it will interpret or it will translate to machine code, after that it will execute, and again this sequence will go on. So that is the Python programming. This is what the Python follows. Okay, so now we are going to discuss about more things in Python. We'll start with actual programming in Python. So before we start the programming, let me clear you the very first thing that we have to understand about any programming language is that the programming language is developed to have some kind of automation. It can be a software, it can be a hardware based system. Even the hardware is also operating the software, or the software is actually running on the hardware. So basically whatever software we develop, that is for the automation. It can be a banking software, it can be anything, it can be a smart marketing software which is using the AI tools or the machine learning algorithms. So it works on data. Any software, any programming language basically works on data. Now data can be anything. So data can be captured from the sensors, or it can be input data set on which you are going to perform some operations, or it can be collected from the users. So data can be anything. It can be numeric data, it can be textual, it can be images, it can be videos, or it can be even speech. So we'll have to perform some operations on that data. So that means every programming language should have something to store that data, to hold that data. And every programming language must have some operators, some mathematical operators which will perform operation on data or which will process that data. Also, the programming language must have decision control mechanism, so that after processing that data, that the programming language must be able to take some automatic judgments or automatic decisions. Again, the programming language must have some looping structures, so that whatever things that particular software has to perform, that can be repeated, so it can perform its task again and again. So for that purpose it should have some loops. Additionally, in order to organize the code, the programming language must have some functions or some object oriented capability. So that we'll discuss later on, but at least the data holding capacity, then decision control capacity, secondly the operators, then looping structures like for loop and while loop, at least these things any programming language should have. And if you have seen any other programming language also, even the C language, Java, or any other, and even the Python, every programming language supports all these stuff: the decision control statement, looping structure, variables, and operators. So now we'll discuss everything step by step. Now, the very first thing is that the variables in Python. Now, what is variable? As far as the variable is concerned, variable is an entity which stores some data in Python. So it will store or it will hold some data in Python. Now, data, as I said, it can be anything. It can be a numeric data, it can be a textual data, images, or anything. So, variables are the entities, or in simple language, variables can be considered as the containers which holds a data. तो एक कंटेनर होगा जिसके अंदर कुछ डेटा स्टोर किया जाएगा फॉर टेम्पररी स्टोरेज और परमानेंट स्टोरेज भी हो सकता है लेकिन व्हाट द वेरिएबल मतलब the thing which stores some data. Then we are going to discuss the type of variables, then rules to declare some variable names, how we can create some variable names and assigning multiple values to variable. That's what we are going to discuss. So, and after that we'll discuss about the data types in Python. There are so many data types. So today we are going to consider numeric data structure and the string data structure in Python. So as we know, we are going to start with this variable declaration. So let us quickly revise about the syntax of Python. So we'll try to understand the syntax of Python with the help of a small example. So I'll write a simple Python code in order to understand the syntax of Python. So right now we haven't started actual Python programming, but still I'll write a simple code in Python and with the help of that code we'll try to understand the syntax of Python. So again I'll open the software. So one more time I'll open the VS Code software. So in order to open the VS Code software in this folder, what you can do, you can simply visit this particular folder where you have stored your Python code and simply click here and type cmd. So that means the command prompt will open in that folder. So now the command prompt has opened in this desktop folder, which is ML Internship. So here you can simply type code space dot, and this time the VS Code will automatically open in that folder. Okay. So with this command, with this simple command, the Visual Studio software or this VS Code ID will automatically open in that folder. Now it is showing that folder's contents. So this is one method of opening this particular thing in that folder. Okay. Now other thing is that if you have opened VS Code, for example, now I'll close this VS Code. Again, this method, I'll discuss some different method. So again, I'll open this VS Code and I want to open in that particular folder. So previously that folder is opened, so it will display that folder only. But now I'll try to open VS Code in that folder. So click on open folder and just select the whichever folder you want. So now I want to select this folder. So I'll click on this folder and select folder. So now again the VS Code software will open in that particular folder. Now, as if you want to create a new file here, new Python code here, simply click on this button, new file button, and just type whatever file name you want. Suppose I want main, just dot py. Okay. If you want to create a Python script, then just simply write main dot py. So this will create a Python script here, and that will automatically open. If you want to open some different script, click on another script. Otherwise, you can open whatever script you have created. Now I'll close all other tab. So this is main.py. This is my Python code. And on this in this particular file, I'm going to write a small code which will help us to understand the basic syntax of Python programming. Okay. So here what I'm going to do, I'm going to write a basic code which will calculate the time required to reach certain destination. Okay, so now here I'll type a simple code which will help me to detect or to calculate how much time is required to reach certain destination. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to write a small Python code which will help me to calculate time required to reach certain destination. So as you know, so here what I'll do, I'll type distance equals to the time required to reach certain destinations. The formula is time equal to distance divided by speed. So the distance equals to, let's say, 300 kilometers. So I have to reach 300 kilometers. Now my speed of my vehicle, let's say it is 60 kilometer per hour. And then I'll have to calculate the time required to reach certain destination. So that is t equals to distance divided by speed. Okay, so that's a simple formula, distance divided by speed, and then I'll print t. Now this is a simple Python code. So where I have written distance equal to 300, speed equal to 60, and time t equal to distance divided by speed, and this will calculate the time required to reach or to cover 300 kilometers if the speed of my car is 60 kilometer per hour. So now I'll try to run this simple code and we'll try to understand the syntax of our Python. So here I'm getting 5.0 as an answer. Okay, at the bottom side on the terminal I'm getting 5.0. So that means 5.0 hours will require to reach 300 kilometers if I am traveling with 60 kilometer per hour speed. Okay, right. So now, as far as the Python is concerned, as far as the syntax is concerned, no semicolons are required as it is required in other programming languages such as C and Java, where the every after every semicolon new statement will start. In Python, every new line is a new statement. So this is statement, and after hitting enter, whatever you will type, that will be a new instruction or new statement. Again, this is new instruction or new statement, and again this is new instruction or new statement. So in Python, new line is used to start a new instruction or new statement. Okay, that's a very simple thing. Secondly, the Python will not use any kind of curly brackets for the block of that code. So curly brackets are not required. And secondly, even the main function is also not required as it is Python scripting language. So the main function is not required. Even the most of the things are inbuilt in Python, like printing or other stuff is inbuilt. So even the header files or the libraries that will help to print something, that is not required. So print function is built in Python. So these are few things that we need to understand. Now the next is uh, in Python, the white spaces are very much important. You should use or you should make a proper use of white spaces. For example, if I give one additional space over here, okay. Now, if it was a C language code, this is perfectly fine. So at the line number 6, before the print, I have provided a tab space. Now, this is totally fine in other programming languages such as C or Java, but this is not the correct way, or this is incorrect. This will lead to error in Python. So if I try to run this, now I will get the error, and you have to read that error first. Now, the error is at line number 6. So here it is clearly mentioned that error is present at line number 6. And in this particular line, print t. And here the type of error is specified. This is indentation error, unexpected indent. Okay, so it is saying that it is indentation error, unexpected indent. So meaning of this is that unexpected void spaces are given. So this void space is technically called as indentation in Python. So these additional white spaces are unexpected here. That's how it is showing. This is the error in Python. So you have to fix that by removing such white spaces. So use of void spaces is critically important in Python, and it carries some meaning as there is no curly brackets. So this indentation is used in case of for loop, if statement, functions, in order to specify how many statements belongs to that loop or if statement or that particular function. So there we are going to use, or we are going to make the proper use of this indentation. But extra void spaces, incorrect use of void spaces is strictly not allowed, and that is error in Python. Okay, that you should understand. So what is indentation, how to make use of this indentation, that we will understand while discussing decision control statements, loops and functions. Right now, just understand, you are not allowed to give any additional spaces, additional void spaces in Python. Okay. Now, secondly, this program, in order to make it readable, we always insert some comments in the program. Now, even in C language, you have seen how we insert comments. Using double slash or slash star, star slash, we can insert the comment in the program. So what is comment? Comment is nothing but the instructions which are given for user, or which are meant for user or for the programmer, and not for machine, not for computer. So the comments are the instructions which are for the programmer and not for the machine. So that by writing those comments, I'll be able to understand the meaning of that particular program or meaning of that particular instruction. For example, I can write some comments at the beginning. So, do you know how the comment is written in Python? What is used to write a comment in Python? Double slash, percent, slash, okay, hash. Okay, so very correct. The hash is used to write a comment in Python. So how we will write the comment in Python? By using the hash. Okay, so by writing this thing, I can write a comment in Python. So I can write this is comment. Okay, so now as I have written this thing, but the comment is generally used to uh, 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 declare something about this program so that we can understand this program. So what I'll write here, so I'll write here, this is the program to calculate time required to reach certain distance. Okay, so now if I have to, this is single line comment. So single line comment in Python is written in this way by using hash. If you have to write multi-line comment, for example, after this I have to create one more line, so automatically if you hit enter, the hash will be created and this will be a new line. Okay, or the again it will be a comment. But is there any other way to write the comment, or in order to write the multi-line comment? So yes, there is a way. You can simply delete this hash, and at the beginning you can use triple double quotes, and at the end as well you can use triple double quotes. Okay, so now this will be a multi-line comment. So single quotes भी चलेंगे instead of double quotes. You may also use, or you may also prefer, single quotes, and again single quotes for three times. Okay, it should be three times. Single or double, anything is okay. So in Python, single quotes and the double quotes are treated equal as far as the string is concerned, as far as the comment is concerned. So that also we'll discuss later on. But अगर multi-line comment generate करना है, so you have to use ट्रिपल सिंगल कोट्स और ट्रिपल डबल कोट स्टार्ट एंड एंड के अंदर, और उसके बीच में वॉट एवर यू विल राइट, वॉट एवर लाइन्स यू विल राइट, दैट मेनी lines will be commented. Now comment किस लिए होती है? It is for the user. It is for the user's understanding, so that the user, after reading this comment, I'll get an idea about this code. Now you can also include here date. So you may write anything, let's say 2021. Then name of the engineer you can write over here. So some documentation. So initially this is very good habit, though it is optional in programming. Writing comment is totally optional. कि comment लिखना चाहिए या नहीं लिखना चाहिए, totally optional है, it's up to the user. But I'll recommend always write the documentation part or this thing at the beginning, so that this will clearly state about what this program is all about. ये किस लिए है, ये क्या करेगा, ये कब develop किया था, उसका engineer's name. So this is very good habit to write some comments in the program. Secondly, the comments can also be written at the end of this line. So here, if you have to write a single line comment, then I can write like this. So I want to understand or distance in kilometers. Again, I have to write here, let's say 60, and I have to make a comment over here. Speed in kilometers per hour, and whatever time it will calculate, it will be in hours. So time in hours. Okay, and this is printing. So now this program, though the program is same, but now it is more readable. So comment is used to increase readability of your program. So now we can clearly understand that this is distance and this is in kilometers. So this is speed and this is in kilometers per hour. And the whatever time will be calculated using this formula, that will be in hours. Now again, whenever we print this thing, it is only printing 5.0. Okay, it's just printing 5.0, but it's not stating whether it is in hours or this is the time required. What exactly is this? It is not clear from this. So what we can do, we can just modify this print function. So the print function here can be used to print any variable name. For example, if I have to print t, I'll write simply print t here. Okay, or if you have to print any other stuff, for example, instead of this t, I'll print here hello. So only hello I'll print here. So here you will see the hello. Now if you want to print any message, then in that case you can use the single quotes as well as the double quotes. Anything is okay. So even if I use the single quotes, that is also fine. Again, it will print the hello at the end. Okay, so as far as the printing is concerned, you can use single quotes as well as the double quotes as well. So if you have to print any message, just use print function. Then inside the brackets using double quotes or the single quotes, you just type whatever message you want to print. And if you have to print any value, then simply pass that variable name here. Now here t is the variable which stores some data, and just type that name. It will print the value of that without quotes. Okay, it should be without any quotes, without any double quotes or single quotes. If you provide double quotes to this t, it will print only t, not the value of t. That you have to take care. So if you have to print the value, just pass the variable name without any double or single quotes. That's the important thing. Now, still what I am trying to do, this is not that much readable. This outcome is not readable. So what I'll do here, I'll write here speed equals to, sorry, time, it's not the speed. Time equals to, okay. So if you have to print text, some message or text as well as some value, so simply you will have to cover that thing in single or double quotes. Here I have used double quotes, but you may also use single quotes, and then comma the variable name. So it will print this time equal to this thing. Even you can adjust some spaces over here, that's totally fine. So time equals to st. So what will be the output? Time equal to 5.0. Now let's run this and we'll check. So now it is time equals to 5.0. Now again, we can even add some unit to this, as there is no unit with the 5.0 liters, kilograms, nothing is mentioned. So again, I'll give comma, and then again I have to add some unit. So let's say it's hours. So it will be time equal to t hours. Okay, so keep in mind the t is the value. So I am not using any single or double quotes, but this hours and this time is a text. Okay, it's the information or it is just a message. So I am including double quotes. Even you can use single quotes as well. For example, for this hours, I'll use single quotes instead of double quotes. So it is perfectly fine in Python. If you use like this, it is totally fine in Python. So it is now the output is quite improved and now it is more readable. So time equals to 5.0 hours. Okay, now clear. So this is how we can use the basic things to print some result or we calculate something. So on this, I'll give some assignments to you and we'll start with new topic. Okay, so at the end I'll give some assignment on this topic. So right now we have just understood how the syntax of Python, void spaces, additional extra void spaces are strictly not allowed, how the comment is written in Python, how the single line comment or multi-line comment will work, and we have also experimented with the print function. Now very basic function, print function. Now print time t hours. Okay, this is how we have experimented, multiple variations we have discussed. Now in this program, can anybody tell me what is this distance speed t is called? Distance speed t, ये सब क्या है इस प्रोग्राम के अंदर? Can anybody tell me whether it is okay? Variables, correct, very correct, correct, very correct. So variables. Can anybody tell me what is this slash? Operator, very correct. Okay, so it is operator. The slash is operator. Okay, चलो ये equal to क्या है? What is this equal to? Equal to assignment operator, very correct. Okay, it's again the operator जो equal to है. This is also the operator and this slash is also operator. And this distance and speed in this particular expression are also called as operands, and this slash is called as operator. So this operator operates on this data and extracts some meaningful information. तो basically क्या होता है यहाँ पे कि you have a data. Now मेरे पास data क्या है? Distance और speed. ये this is the data. On this data I'll perform mathematical operations. उसके ऊपर I'll process that data. After processing that data I'll extract this t, so I'll get some meaningful information. So this is some sort of data processing happening over here. After processing this data I'm getting this thing, and based on that I'm getting some results or required outcome for me. So this is very interesting to know. So we'll understand everything in detail. Now first of all, the Python variables. Now variables are the containers which store some data. यहाँ पे distance, speed and t, ये सब वेरिएबल्स है. इन सब के अंदर कुछ ना कुछ डेटा स्टोर होता है. जैसे डिस्टेंस के अंदर 300 स्टोर है, स्पीड के अंदर 60, टी के अंदर इन दोनों का डिवीजन करके जो कुछ भी आएगा दैट इज स्टोर्ड इन टी. तो ये जो सिंटैक्स है पाइथन का, इसके साथ अगर हम वी कंपेयर विद द सी लैंग्वेज, वी हैव अंडरस्टूड दैट कि इन केस ऑफ सी लैंग्वेज आपको ये वेरिएबल्स के टाइप डिफाइन करने पड़ेंगे. दिस डिस्टेंस इज इंटीजर टाइप ऑफ वेरिएबल, दिस स्पीड इज अगेन इंटीजर टाइप ऑफ वेरिएबल, but this t, as there is a division operator, this t is floating point number. It is fractional number. It's not the integer. And that's how we are getting 5.0. Okay, we are not getting 5 hours. We are getting 5.0 hours. So that's again the important thing. We need to understand what is variable and how it works in Python. Okay, so now let's try to understand something about the variables in Python. So Python के जो variables है which stores some data. Now data, as I said, it can be numeric data, it can be integer numbers, it can be a floating point numbers, or it can even be a string, a text भी हो सकता है. तो we can here we, as you say, कि integer number stored है, here there is a floating point number, and even we can assign some textual information to data as well. For example, I'll open the another file, and here I declare some variable. Okay, now in order to clear this terminal, there is a command called clear. Okay, after typing this command, it will clear. Okay, now here if I declare a variable called a equals to, let's say, Python. Okay, now this is my variable name, and if I print this one, now this is perfectly fine. Okay, it will print Python. Okay, now it is perfectly fine, it is printing Python. So the variable can store integers, it can store the floating point numbers, as well as it can store a text also. For example, if I write here, instead of this text, if I write 4.2, if I ask to print that, it will print 4.2. Here you can see 4.2. Instead of that, if I use only 4, so which is integer, and then if I ask to print that, then again it is printing 4. So variable can hold any kind of data type which is supported by Python. Any variable can hold any kind of data type or any kind of data, integer, floats, or even the strings, or even the complex data types, or the collection data type like list, tuple, set, dictionaries, that we'll discuss later on. Now data is okay. The data will come from somewhere. Maybe user will give some input, or it may be collected from the sensors, or it may be extracted from the cloud or from any API or from the internet. For example, temperature of city can be extracted or it can be fetched from any API, so that मुझे इस city का temperature ranges मिल जाएंगी. Or it can be collected from the user. For example, user may fill some forms whenever the user visit a mall or any shopping complex, तो उस फॉर्म में से डेटा जनरेट हो सकता है. तो डेटा कहीं से भी आ सकता है, एंड इन ऑर्डर टू स्टोर दैट डेटा वी नीड अ कंटेनर जिसका जो भी नेम होगा, जो नाम होगा, ये यहाँ पे हम जो कुछ भी देंगे उस कंटेनर का, उस मेमोरी लोकेशन का ये नेम हो जाएगा, ये टैग हो जाएगा, और उसके अंदर वो डेटा स्टोर किया जाएगा. नाउ हाउ टू डिफाइन दिस नेम. नाउ ये जो नेम है, मैंने ए दिया, कभी एक्स दिया, कभी डिस्टेंस दिया, कभी स्पीड दिया, कभी टी दिया. सो is it like that कि we can give any name to our variables? So it's strictly not like that. Variables के जो name है उनके लिए कुछ rules है, तो वो rules हमें follow करने पड़ते हैं, and after following those rules we can assign the variable names. Now the very first rule is that the variable name must start with a letter or underscore character. Now rule number one is the variable name must start with letter or underscore. So it should, this a should start with letter. Okay, so for example, I write here my variable. Perfectly fine, and here I'll print that my variable. Okay, now it's perfectly fine. It must start with a letter. It is starting with M, that is letter. So it's perfectly fine. Okay, now it's printing. Otherwise, it should start with underscore. Okay, again it is perfectly fine. Letter or underscore character. Again it is okay. My variable, it's underscore my variable. I was using only my variable. That was the problem here in the print function. Now it is perfectly fine. So it should start with the underscore or the variable or the letter, but it should not start with a number. It should not start with a number. For example, 1 and my variable. Clearly, after typing here, I'm getting this error. Okay, here there is an error. So the variable name should not start with any number. That is rule number 2. Now next is The variable name can contain alphanumeric characters and underscores only. So alphanumeric character का मतलब होता है कि इट शुड बी, मैं यहाँ पे नीचे यहाँ पे लिखूंगा अल्फा न्यूमेरिक कैरेक्टर मतलब क्या होता है. इट मे बी फ्रॉम कैपिटल ए टू जेड प्लस स्मॉल ए टू जेड एंड 0 to 9, ये अल्फा न्यूमेरिक हो गए, एंड अंडरस्कोर. ओके, तो वेरिएबल नेम ओनली कंटेन्स दिस थिंग्स ओनली. ओके, इसके अलावा अदर कुछ भी थिंग वेरिएबल नेम करके अलाउड नहीं है. सो नो अदर स्पेशल सिंबल like at the rate, hash, dollar, percentage, full stop, or anything, single quotes, double quotes, are strictly not allowed in variable names. Okay, वो सारे variable names के अंदर allowed नहीं है. एंड वेरिएबल नेम्स और एक रूल है, द वेरिएबल नेम्स आर केस सेंसिटिव. दैट मीन्स अगर मैंने यहाँ पे इस तरह से लिखा है कि माय वेरिएबल एंड ओके इट्स अंडरस्कोर, इट्स ऑटोमेटिकली टेकिंग, बट ओके लेट्स से 10. नीचे if I try to write my variable in capital letters and let's say 10. So this my variable is not equal to this one. This is case sensitive. So small case letters and uppercase letters are treated differently. They are different. Okay. So rule number one is the variable name will start with the underscore or a letter. There should not be any, it should not start with any number. So now I'll write a variable name. Okay. My variable 2 equals to 20. Now, can you tell me whether this is valid variable name or invalid variable name? My variable 2, whether it's valid? Okay, correct. It is valid variable name. Why valid variable name? Because this rule says the variable name can have the alphanumeric characters. That means capital A to Z, small a to Z, and 0 to 9 plus underscore it can have. So that means my variable 2 is having the alphanumeric characters. It is having digit 2 as well as this thing. So it's perfectly fine. And it is not starting with the number, so again it is the valid. Okay, secondly, no space is allowed inside variable name. For example, if I write my space variable equal to 30. Now here you can see that this is using the alphanumeric characters only, the my and then space and then variable. So it's alphanumeric, but the space is not allowed. So this space character is not allowed inside the variable name. So that's how it is invalid. So this variable name is also invalid. So you have to take care about the 4 to 5 rules. So rule number 1 is the variable name should start with underscore or the letter or the character. It should not start with a number. Then only alphanumeric characters are allowed. No special symbol other than underscore is allowed. The variable names are case sensitive. Small case and capital case letters are treated differently. And next is the space is not allowed inside the variable names. नाउ अगर आप ये सारे रूल्स फॉलो करते हो तो उसके बाद आपको वॉट एवर यू कैन राइट दैट कैन बी अ वेरिएबल नेम. तो और एक चीज़ है कि एज यू हैव द फुल एडवांटेज एंड एज यू हैव द फुल फ्रीडम कि आप ये सारे रूल्स को फॉलो करके यू कैन यूज एनी वेरिएबल और यू कैन क्रिएट एनी वेरिएबल, बट द वेरिएबल नेम हैज़ टू बी स्पेसिफिक. स्पेसिफिक का मतलब है जैसे यहाँ पे मैंने डिस्टेंस लेना था, सो आई हैव यूज डिस्टेंस एज अ वेरिएबल नेम. देन मुझे स्पीड लेना था तो स्पीड एज अ वेरिएबल नेम बिकॉज दैट इज स्पेसिफिक टू दैट एप्लीकेशन. तो इट हैज टू बी स्पेसिफिक सो दैट द प्रोग्राम विल बी रीडेबल. तो दूसरे कोई भी एक्स वाई जेड पी क्यू आर एस टी यूज करना गलत तो नहीं है. आई विल नॉट से कि इट इज रॉन्ग, but you should always use the specific variable names so that it will make your program more readable. That's only the thing. Okay, so you should use the correct variable name so that it will become readable. Now this is how the variables can be defined. Again, one more thing, one more rule that I want to tell you, that no keyword is allowed as variable name. Now keyword का मतलब होता है कि the text or whatever the entities which are already defined in programming language. For example, if is already an keyword in Python programming language. This if is a keyword. So if you write if equal to 2, now this is incorrect. Now this if cannot be a variable name, because if, for, else, def, there are so many keywords that are already defined in Python, so that they should not be used as a variable names. So that these things you have to take care in order to take care about the variable names. Now, as far as the variables are concerned, by simply using the assignment operator, you can assign value to that variable. For example, if I declare my variable and you write 10, so this 10 value will be stored in this particular thing. Now, for example, I have three different variables, a, b, c, or let's say x, y, z. So x equal to 1, let's say, then y also equals to 1, and then z also equals to 1. Now this is the case. तो ये 3 लाइन तक लिखना पड़ेगा। अगर मुझे इन सब में सेम ही जाना है, यहाँ पे देखा तो x में भी 1 है, y is also holding the 1, z is also holding the 1. So every variable here holds value equal to 1. तो इस तरह से भी हम इसको लिख सकते हैं, या फिर we can simply write x equals to y equals to z equals to 1 as a short and method. So यहाँ पे we can store the same value in x, y and z instead of this thing. So now we can also verify whether this assignment is perfectly fine by printing these values. Print x, then print y, and then print z. So we'll check or we'll cross verify whether all those things hold the same value. Again, I'll clear this terminal before running the code. Now I'll run this. So as you see here, 1 1 1. And again, every print statement will print on new line. That also you have to take care, or you have to understand. In C language, the print statement will not print on new line unless and until you pass slash n character. तो C language में आपको slash n देना ही पड़ता था अगर नए line पे print करना है तो, लेकिन यहाँ पे slash n की जरूरत नहीं है. Everything will print on the new line. So everything will print on, every print statement will print on, always print on new line. That's the only thing in case of Python. Okay. Now, for example, अभी मेरी केस ऐसी है कि I have three different values. For example, x equal to 1, y equal to 2, and z equal to 3. In that case, how should I write? तो एक तो प्रीवियस हो गया कि x equal to 1, then enter y equal to 2, and then z equal to 3. Otherwise, you can also write like this: x, comma, y, comma, z equals to 1, comma, 2, comma, 3. That's it. And then you can simply run it out, and then again 1, 2, 3. Now again you will see कि यहाँ पे अलग अलग lines पे print हो रहा है. I want to print on the same line. So for that, you can use this x, comma, y, comma, z. So whatever number of values you want, you can print here by using the simple print function. So by using simple print function, you can print on the multiple values. So here 1, 2, and 3, everything is printed now. So by comma, if you write comma there, it will print वैल्यू बाय सम स्पेस. तो यहाँ पे अगर आप देखोगे तो 1 के बाद एक छोटा सा स्पेस मिला है. अगेन देयर इज स्मॉल स्पेस. This is because of this comma. So if you separate your variables by comma, it will automatically take a space in Python. Okay, it will take a small space in Python, a single space in Python to print those values. So this is how the variables can be defined. उनके names हम define कर सकते हैं, and we can store some values in the variables. Now we'll try to understand what kind of data types are there in Python. So before we discuss about the data types, let me ask you a basic question कि हम डेली लाइफ में कौन कौन से डेटा पे काम करते हैं. सो व्हाट काइंड ऑफ डेटाज वी डील इन आवर डेली लाइफ, डे टू डे लाइफ? क्या क्या किस किस टाइप का डेटा होता है? डेटा टाइप्स मतलब टाइप ऑफ डेटा, टाइप ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन। डेटा मतलब इंफॉर्मेशन। So in daily life, we always deal with so many informations. We deal with a number of things. तो वो कौन कौन से टाइप का होता है? ओके, इंटीजर। ओके, ये आप जो आंसर कर रहे हो, दैट यू आर टेलिंग मी इन टर्म्स ऑफ द programming language. Okay, Rima has answered one thing, text. So that's what I am expecting कि text, टेक्स्ट बोल रहे हैं तो टेक्स्ट कैन बी अ डेटा। एस टी आर नम इंट ये टेक्निकल हो गया। तो आई एम आस्किंग डे टू डे लाइफ में, सो टेक्स्ट, टेक्स्ट कैन बी वन थिंग। ओके, टाइम, नाउ टाइम कैन बी टेक्स्ट ही हो सकता है, टाइम भी टेक्स्ट है, या फिर आप बोल सकते हो कि नंबर्स है, तो टेक्स्ट हो गए। और नंबर्स करेक्ट। और मेजरमेंट अगेन इट्स नंबर, नंबर ही हो गया मेजरमेंट मतलब। एनीथिंग एल्स? टेक्स्ट, नंबर। आप लोग फेसबुक व्हाट्सएप यूज करते हो या नहीं? सिंबल्स भी टेक्स्ट ही हो गया। Now I am giving you the hint. Do you use Facebook, WhatsApp, YouTube? Value again, it's a numeric हो गया. Okay, correct. Rima has answered. Images. Okay, images हो सकती है. That is again the data. Images, visuals or images. और JPEG is again the format of image. Sound, speech. Okay, Pooja has answered sound. That is nothing but speech. Anything else? वीडियो नहीं भेजते आप? वीडियो, वीडियो करेक्ट। साउंड हैज आंसर्ड। सो डेटा हम जो डेली लाइफ में प्रोसेस करते हैं, दिस डेटा इज ऑफ दिस टाइप। एक तो नंबर्स हो सकते हैं, इट कैन बी अ टेक्स्ट, इट कैन बी अ इमेज, इट कैन बी अ वीडियो, और इट कैन बी अ स्पीच। तो वी आर डेवलपिंग द सॉफ्टवेयर, द ऑटोमेशन एंड दिस AI/ML based systems in order to reduce the human efforts, or in order to use the machines instead of human beings। तो machines को भी ये इसी सब डेटा पे प्रोसेस करना पड़ेगा। The machine should be able to, or it must be capable of processing the numbers, it must be able to processing the text, the machine or any Python language must be able to process the images, it must be able to process video and speech। तो जो डेटा हम डेली लाइफ में प्रोसेस करते हैं, सेम डेटा मशीन को भी करना पड़ेगा। व्हाई? बिकॉज द मशीन इज गोइंग टू रिप्लेस द ह्यूमन बींग्स यूजिंग दिस AI/ML algorithms, and based on this data we'll extract some meaningful information। So data types is nothing but type of information। दिस इज इंफॉर्मेशन, द नंबर्स। आज टेम्परेचर इतना है, या फिर इंडिया हैज स्कोर्ड दिस 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 मेनी रन्स, लेट्स से 300 रन्स इन 50 ओवर्स। तो दिस इज नंबर्स। अगेन यू मे से कि आपके बैंक में इतना अमाउंट पड़ा हुआ है, दिस मच अमाउंट इज देयर इन योर बैंक अकाउंट। तो ये न्यूमरिक डेटा हो गया। ये सारा जो डेटा है, दिस इज ऑल अबाउट द नंबर्स। टेक्स्ट भी हो सकता है, हम व्हाट्सएप पे चैटिंग करते हैं, टेक्स्ट SMS भेजते हैं, ईमेल भेजते हैं, सो दैट इज टेक्स्ट। इमेजेस हो सकती है, वी ऑलवेज सेंड इमेजेस थ्रू व्हाट्सएप, हम स्टेटस पे इमेजेस रखते हैं, दैट इज अगेन द इमेज। वीडियो हो सकता है, स्पीच हो सकता है। तो इन सारे डेटा को प्रोसेस करना पड़ेगा। सो टेक्निक ये हो गया अपने जनरल लाइफ में। अभी पाइथन में क्या होता है, पाइथन में इतना सारा डेटा टाइप है। सो इसके अंदर वी कैन सी दिस इज द फर्स्ट वन इज स्ट्रिंग। तो जो टेक्स्ट है वो स्ट्रिंग के फॉर्मेट में, और स्ट्रिंग इट विल बी ट्रीटेड एज स्ट्रिंग इन पाइथन। सो जो भी टेक्चुअल डेटा है इन पाइथन, दैट विल बी ट्रीटेड एज स्ट्रिंग। देन न्यूमरिक डेटा। सो जब हम बोलेंगे नंबर्स, सो इट कैन बी फ्लोटिंग पॉइंट नंबर्स एज वेल एज दी होल नंबर्स। तो आई कैन से कि टेम्परेचर इज 22.4 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड, सो इट इज फ्रैक्शनल नंबर, फ्लोटिंग पॉइंट नंबर। Or it can be a whole number. I have 10,000 rupees in my bank account, so that is my it's whole number, so it is integer. So it can be a whole number, it can be a floating point number, and it can even be a complex number. Okay, it can be a complex number as well. Now what is complex number? Now complex number is nothing but the number having the real plus imaginary part. So now it's purely in the mathematics. Those who are having the good knowledge of mathematics must have understood what is the complex number. So complex number is nothing but is the number which is having real plus imaginary part. Okay, so these are denoted as 1 plus j2 or 1 plus I2 or something like that. And then the sequence kind of data structure where we can store multiple values in a single variable. So where we can use the list, tuple, range, some mapping data structures such as dictionary, sets, or some Boolean data structures, and binary data structures. So this is just a table which represents the different data types in Python, or the information which the Python will handle. This information is having these many forms, and these many keywords will be used to denote such information. Okay, so right now we'll just understand this is just a table, but step by step we'll understand each and every data type in detail. And for every data type, you can actually check the type of that data. Okay, so in Python, for example, here if I define something, let's say x equal to 2 or something like that. So here x equal to, let's say, 2. So by printing the value x, it will print the value of this x, and by printing the type of x will print the data type of that x. Okay, so again I'll clear this and I'll run this code. So printing this x will print 2 because its value is 2, and printing the type of that x, it is printing int. Okay, integer. So that means the data type of this 2 or this x is int. But if I assign x equal to 2.4, in this case the results will be different. Now it's 2.4 and value is, or this type is floating point number, it's float. And if I use string here, Python, now keep in mind string can be, or the text can be used in single quotes as well as in double quotes, it's totally fine. Now if I do this, it will be string. Okay, it will be string. So likewise, or string nothing but str, so that is nothing but string or the text. So we can also print the type of our variable or whatever data we are storing there, and we can check it out what kind of type is there. And even we can do the same thing for the list, tuple, set, and dictionaries. Okay, so for this moment I'll just write here, let's say in a square bracket 1 comma 2 comma 3. Now this is something like array. Don't worry about this thing. We'll discuss this thing later on, but this is another data type called list. So it has printed 1 2 3 in brackets and the list. Okay, so this is another data type in Python. So the moral of the story, we can assign any type of data in any kind of variable. Whatever variable you define, you can assign any kind of data to it. It can be a numeric, it can be a floating point number, it can be even the textual data, or it can be even a sequential data type or collection data type like list, tuple, set, dictionaries. Totally fine, you can print that thing. And secondly, you can also check, there is a provision in Python by which you can check the data type of that variable by using the type function. So by calling this function type of x, you can check the type of that data. And as far as the Python is concerned, the data type is automatically assigned to that variable, because variable stores data and data nothing but information. So what is the type of that data is automatically assigned at a time of declaration only. For example, uh, यहाँ पे हमने अभी जो भी एक्सपेरिमेंट किया, पहले आई हैव रिटन x इक्वल टू 2, उसका टाइप था इंटीजर। बाद में मैंने उसी x को x इक्वल टू 2.4 किया, सो इट वाज अगेन फ्लोट। टाइप ऑटोमेटिकली चेंज हो गया। सो द टाइप जो कुछ भी है, इट इज ऑटोमेटिकली असाइंड टू दैट वेरिएबल। तो जो भी आप डिक्लेयर करोगे उसका वॉट एवर जो भी टाइप होगा, ऑटोमेटिकली उसको असाइन किया जाएगा। आपको डिक्लेयर करने की जरूरत नहीं कि int x इक्वल टू दिस थिंग यू नीड नॉट टू डिक्लेयर। एंड वन मोर इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग जो कि पाइथन में होती है, डेटा टाइप ऑटोमेटिकली असाइन भी होता है एंड ऑटोमेटिकली चेंज भी हो सकता है। फॉर एग्जाम्पल x इक्वल टू 10। Now, if I write on the very next line x equal to 5.3, and then if I try to print x and then print 5 of x, तो ये जो कुछ भी मैंने किया है, क्या इसमें आपको लगता है कुछ एरर है? You can answer in chat whether this program or this small code is having some error. What do you think? You can answer in chat whether you think that this is going to lead some error message. Okay, no error. Very good. There is no error in this. Now, can you predict the outcome of this program? What it will print as a x? Okay, 5.3 and float. Okay, very correct. So here, initially the x was integer. Initially, x was integer. And in the next line, the x is automatically changed to floating point number from that integer. तो यहाँ पे डेटा टाइप ऑटोमेटिकली चेंज भी होता है एंड ऑटोमेटिकली असाइन भी होता है। सो डेटा टाइप ऑफ दिस एक्स कैन बी चेंज्ड इफ वी असाइन द फ्लोटिंग पॉइंट नंबर। अगर आपने यहाँ पे टेक्स्ट भी असाइन किया, स्ट्रिंग भी असाइन की, तो भी वो चेंज हो सकता है। इट कैन बी और इट विल चेंज, तो वो चेंज हो सकता है। सो दैट्स द इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग कि आप यहाँ पे डेटा टाइप जो है वो आपको डिफाइन करने की जरूरत नहीं है। किसी भी वेरिएबल का डेटा टाइप ऑटोमेटिकली असाइन किया जाएगा एंड सेकेंडली द डेटा टाइप विल ऑटोमेटिकली चेंज if you change the data in that variable. Okay, so this is important thing. Now the next thing, is it possible to set data type manually? This is automatic setting, but is there any way by which we can set data type manually? So yes, there is a way by which you can actually set a data, or you can specify data. For example, x equals to, you can write like this, int 10. So this means the 10 is the integer value, or this will be taken as integer value, and then it will be printed. So if you print this x, and of course the type of this one, it will be integer only. So it will be purely integer number. Okay. Even अगर मैंने यहाँ पे 10.5 किया, in that case it will be 10 only, and its type will be integer only, because this is actually converting this 10.5 to 10. Okay, this int function is actually converting this 10.5 to 10. This is called as typecasting in Python or any other programming language. You can consider this thing. So typecasting क्या होती है? कन्वर्टिंग फ्रॉम वन टाइप टू अनादर टाइप। सो अगर वो इंटीजर है तो उसको फ्लोट में कन्वर्ट करना, या फिर फ्लोट है तो उसको इंटीजर में कन्वर्ट करना। फॉर एग्जांपल, अगर यहाँ पे मैंने लिखा है 10 और इफ आई कन्वर्ट दिस थिंग टू फ्लोट, तो मैं किसी भी टाइप्स को किसी और टाइप में कन्वर्ट कर सकता हूँ इन पाइथन। So now I have specified float, and but the value is integer. But here, instead of, just check out this thing, 10 only. But if I run this, it will be 10.0, indicating it is floating point number and its type is also float. तो डेटा टाइप के बारे में हमने दो तीन इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ें जानी हुई है। द नंबर वन थिंग इज दैट the data type is automatically assigned at a time of variable declaration. जो भी डेटा हम उसमें स्टोर करेंगे उसी टाइप का डेटा टाइप उस वेरिएबल को असाइन किया जाएगा। डेटा टाइप ऑटोमेटिकली चेंज भी होगा अगर आपने उसके अंदर की वैल्यू अगर आपने चेंज की। इफ यू चेंज सम वैल्यू इनसाइड द वेरिएबल, इट विल, इट्स डेटा टाइप विल आल्सो चेंज। सेकेंडली, We can also specify data type for a particular variable by using the int, float, string, or whatever keywords. And if you provide a floating point number and if you mention int and in bracket that floating point number, तो वहाँ पे टाइप कास्टिंग होगी. टाइप कास्टिंग का मतलब होता है कन्वर्टिंग फ्रॉम वन डेटा टाइप टू अनदर डेटा टाइप, और या फिर उसका टाइप चेंज करना, चेंजिंग द टाइप ऑफ दैट डेटा. सो ये सारी चीज़ें डेटा टाइप के बारे में है एंड इट इज़ पॉसिबल. Now we'll discuss very first data type in Python, which is numeric data type in Python, numbers, Python numbers. So as far as the numbers in Python are concerned, नंबर तीन टाइप के हो सकते हैं पाइथन के अंदर. जो न्यूमरिक है, आपने जो बोला कि हम डेली लाइफ में वैल्यू, नंबर, मेजरमेंट, टेम्परेचर, अमाउंट, इन सभी चीज़ों के ऊपर कॉन्सेंट्रेट करते हैं. एंड वो एक डेटा है या फिर इंफॉर्मेशन है जो हम डेली लाइफ में प्रोसेस करते हैं. तो इट कैन बी एक्स इक्वल्स टू लेट्स से 10. तो ये इंटीजर हो गया. अगेन इफ आई राइट x इक्वल्स टू -20, या फिर यहाँ पे I'll check another variable, I'll take this one more variable as a y इक्वल टू -20. तो क्या है ये y? -20 मतलब इज इट इंटीजर और फ्लोटिंग पॉइंट नंबर? इट इज -20. Whether it is integer or float, integer, correct? It is integer. So integer can be positive numbers as well as negative numbers. Or if I write z equals to, of course this space should not be there, z equals to 10.5, then this will be a floating point number. तो ये तो integer के बारे में या फिर floating point number के बारे में, it's totally fine. Again, the integer का जो length है, it can be anything. You can just use positive numbers as well as the negative numbers in terms of the integer data type, and also you can check its data structure. And in a similar way, the floating point numbers can also be positive or negative. Let's say 10.6, or it can be 20, -20.4, or even the z can be anything. So like this. So this is floating point number. It can be positive as well as it can be a negative. Floating point numbers can also be represented by using the scientific notations. So floating point numbers can also be represented using scientific notations. So in order to use this as a scientific notations, so it can be written like this: 1 e 2. Okay. So एक तो इस तरह से लिखा जा सकता है, या फिर लेट्स से मैं और एक वेरिएबल यहाँ पे डिफाइन करता हूँ. लेट्स से इट कैन बी a equals to -2 e to the power 4. Okay, now this is called as scientific notation. तो आप ये बोलोगे कि ये सब क्या है, लेकिन this is actually a scientific notation. If you are good in mathematics, आपको ये पता होगा कि 1 e to the power 2 का क्या मतलब होता है. So 1 e2, what will be the outcome? Z, what will be the value stored in Z? Can anybody tell me in comment section? Okay, 10 raised to 2, correct? It is 10 raised to 2, its power. So it is around 100. But will it be 100 or 100.0? Yeah, it will be a 100.0 as it is floating point number. So if you print here Z and if you print A, now you clearly notice the difference. So it is 100.0 and minus this value. Okay, it's around 2 to the power 4. Okay, 2 into 10 raised to 4. Actually 2 to the power 4, not like that. Its meaning is -2 into 10 to the power 4. Okay, so that's the meaning of this statement. E to the power 4 means 10 raised to power. So this is how we'll get the different outcomes, and in this way the floating point numbers can be defined. Now let's talk about the complex numbers. Now the complex numbers are defined by using the symbol j. For example, x equals to 3 plus 5j. This is complex number. Even the y equals to -5j. This is complex number. Okay. So these numbers are complex. So if I print this x and this y, and on the very next line I'll print the type of that, type of x. So you will find that this type is complex. Okay, here you can see this is 3 plus 5j and minus 0 minus 5j. Okay, so minus 5j is this is the imaginary part, and it is having 0 real part. Real number is 0. So this is minus 0 minus 5j, and the type of this is complex. So this is complex number. So rarely we'll use complex numbers uh, during the operations or whatever uh, uh, programs and projects will do. But the complex numbers are also very much important in mathematics. So in mathematics, the complex numbers we use for various operations. In If you have studied mathematics, then you must have studied the complex number. Basically, under root of minus 1 is the complex number, or is equal to I, or is nothing but the complex number. So in order to solve the complex engineering problems uh, or the mathematical problems, the complex numbers are used. So under root of minus 1 is imaginary. It cannot be imagined in mathematics. That's how it is called as complex number. So let it be. But the complex numbers are also very much important in mathematics. And of course, you can go from one type to another type. If we define, let's say, or we'll understand what is typecasting. X equal to, let's say, 10.45, and if you write y equals to int x, तो इसका मतलब है कि convert this x to integer. Now initially the x is floating point number. Now int x, that means it will convert this x to integer, and if you print y over here, it will be 10 only, not 10.5. Okay, so it will be 10 only, not the 10.5. So this how this thing or this method is called as typecasting. So you can convert from integer to float, float to integer, or even you can convert the any integer number to complex number. But you cannot convert complex number to integer, because the complex number is having the imaginary part. Okay, so this is how the typecasting can happen. You can go from one type to another type, and this is all about the numeric data structures in Python. Numbers, we are dealing with the numbers, integer, float, characters. तो कब कौन सा डेटा यूज करना है, whether I have to use the integer, whether I'll use for floating point number, or whether I'll use complex number, depends on the application. For example, अगर आप रियल टाइम रूम टेम्परेचर रीड कर रहे हो या फिर सिटी का टेम्परेचर रीड कर रहे हो, एंड यू हैव टू डेवलप अ मशीन लर्निंग एल्गोरिदम विच विल फॉरकास्ट टेम्परेचर फॉर टुमारो, और अगर ये टेम्परेचर फ्लोटिंग पॉइंट नंबर्स हो तो देयर वी कैन कंसिडर फ्लोटिंग पॉइंट नंबर्स. इवन इफ वी कंसिडर कि कुछ डेटा कैरेक्टर है, so textual information hai, so in that case we can consider the text kind of data structure. So sometimes we have to, or in most of the cases you have to take care about the information. तो information कौन से type की है, information integer है तो integer, floating है तो floating, text है तो text. So based on the type of information you have to choose the data type in Python. So you will just check out the data and its type, and according to that you will use the data structures or data types in Python. So now we'll understand strings in Python. This is numeric, but if I define any string like x equal to, let's say, Python, so this becomes a string data structure in Python. And if I print x, and on the next line if I print the type of x, so if I run this one, I will get this thing Python, and its type is string. Yeah, I think there was a connection error. Yeah, there was a connection problem. I'll reshare the screen. Yeah. So, as far as the data type is concerned, we can actually change the data to integer to character, or even the string can be converted to integer also. So now this x is a Python, which is a string. Now this print x will print the value of this, which is Python. In this case, it is like this. And if I print the type of this, it will print like string like this. Okay, so this is how the type and the value can be printed for the string. And the string can also be a multi-line. Now this is the single line string. If I have to create a multi-line string, then I will have to use triple, single, or double quotes. And here I can write hello, then enter, welcome to Python programming. Okay, so this is how we can write. Now this will become a string. So you will say, what is this? This is actually a multi-line string or multi-line text. तो पाइथन के अंदर हम सिंगल लाइन टेक्स्ट भी कर सकते हैं यूजिंग सिंगल और डबल कोट्स. And अगर मल्टी लाइन करना है, if I have to consider the multi line one, then I can go with the triple, single, or double quotes. So in that case, I will go with triple, single, or double quotes. So like this, we can actually make it. And if you run this one, this is also correct. Okay, so welcome to Python programming. So this is perfectly fine. No worries with this thing. So this thing is nothing but string or the textual data in Python. So this is how we'll deal with the string and the text in Python. So Python के अंदर as per the string or the text data is concerned, we can actually consider this string as an array. So string can be considered as array in the Python.